It is the bottom rungs of the ladder that we focus our attention tonight. The West Coast Eagles sitting in 18th position. They've had a solitary win. Their percentage sits under 50, and whilst North Melbourne have copped it plenty, while the Bombers have copped it plenty, the West Coast, for reasons that have been pretty well explained and discussed, have been left alone largely. But it is at a stage now where they need discussing, boys, and that's where we're going to kick off tonight. Yeah,
there's been a bit of ambivalence here, but I think it's starting to turn, and that ambivalence here isn't replicated on the West Coast, and the noise is starting to come. I mean, West Coast were a great team in 2018. You have to be to do what they did, and like all great teams, they rise, they win things, and then inevitably they fade. But clearly outside influences and events have accelerated and exacerbated the fall to a team now that they are historically bad. One of the worst teams, at least from a stats point of view, that we've seen over the last quarter of a century.
I've never heard so many people say West Coast have given up this year. That's supporters, that's experienced pundits, that's former coaches in our game, Gaz. I can't believe the amount of people that have said it. It's been a consistent theme, which is embarrassing for the Eagles.
This is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful club in the competition, who's right now one of the most irrelevant clubs. And that's I know it's a strong thing to say, but it is in terms of if you look at the Western Australian newspaper today, they're not dominating the papers like they do. They're not owning the town. It's the 5th, 6th, 7th. You've got to look pretty hard to find anything to be... And whilst North Melbourne have been belted and Essendon have been scrutinised to within an inch of the life, this side's been largely left alone. And that can be almost as damning because in the end you don't care. You know, you go, OK, what happened on the weekend? Oh, they lost to the Western Bulldogs. Yeah, thought that had happened. No, they lost by 100. Lost by 100 this side.
No,
8 premiership players in the team.
And it's an absolute indictment that the crosstown rival, Fremantle, have just blown away the Premier. So, we'll talk about the Dockers later on. So, yes, circumstances. We've heard all the excuses. Yes, understand the COVID regime over there and some of the restrictions. But Fremantle... the direct comparison to them, what have they done? So the excuses need to end, don't they? And they need to get going.
Let's have a listen. I'll have a read of it. They did a review at the end of 2021. So we'll have a look at their timeline in a moment. They were in good shape. They were in good shape at various stages, and then it's just dropped away. This is at the end of the year. We don't accept finishing 9th was reflective of the ability. This is the end of last year. To miss out on playing finals is not acceptable. We'll address the issues that we've identified as the major contributing factors in the situation they find themselves in. They went on to say everyone takes responsibility. This was after the review. But we can't put a finger on it. Which I thought was pretty interesting.
Well, after a review, you'd like to be able to put your finger on something, but I think the facts of the matter are there are multiple reasons that West Coast find themselves where they are. If we go through the timeline, so clearly 2018, great team, they come out and they win the flag. 2019, they're right there, should finish top 4. But they lose that last home and away game to Hawthorn, who was struggling at the time. At home, which was a bit of a shock. And then you go to 2020. COVID hits, and all the reports that came out of the West Coast camp in particular was that they didn't embrace it like other teams did. In fact, they almost thumbed their nose.
Almost rallied against it.
Yeah, that's right.
And looked for the excuse.
And it reflected, didn't it, in the way that they actually played their footy throughout that year.
Lost a home final to Collingwood in the end. So whilst they struggled with it and attitudinally it would appear to have had an issue, they still played finals footy. They lost the final. So
found a way. So there's character within the group. There's talent within the group.
So you're not saying this is a team that just dropped off the park. And then 2021 starts, challenges there again. As the season unfolds, get to the situation where after round 13, they're 7th on the ladder, just a touch outside the top 4. So this is after 13 games of last year.
They had a great Friday night win against, I think it may have been Richmond, about round 13, and you thought, geez, West Coast are going to really challenge. They're going to cause some problems this year. We know how difficult it was to go over to Perth. Well, since then, just have a look at it. Since the round 15 game, they've just been horrible. And experienced players came back into the team. So you can't sit there. That's important.
It's important because we're not just talking about this year.
Absolutely. So you look at that percentage. Like, that's horrible, isn't it, to finish the year like that and then obviously continue on next year. 59% since middle of last year, when they were going well, we're thinking, they're a top 4 potential team, and experienced players started to come back into the lineup. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the players that have supposedly been out and all the COVID issues. They've had experienced premiership players on the field in the last 20 games.
So they get to the end of 21. They have the review that we just spoke about there with Trevor Nisbet coming out and making the statement. And then 2022. So we know they're hamstrung from a rebuild and a list manoeuvrability point of view. Tim Kelly situation, a lot of older stars on big long-term deals.
Sold the farm for Tim Kelly.
They did. They did. And they probably got him 12 months too late, didn't they? Because they were in the window. Yeah. So you absolutely understand the situation to try and get one more. Yep. So they get a pass on that one. But then new coaches come in. They are hamstrung because players can't train together, all the COVID restrictions. Players therefore probably aren't as fit as they need to be, and all of these little issues just start mounting up, and when you stack them in isolation it's probably not that big a deal, but when you stack them all on top of each other, this is how it manifests. This is what it looks like when you get halfway through a season.
That's the point. And early in the year we did accept the conditions that they're under. They're extraordinary. Drag and waffle players in that no one hadn't met and all that. And so you grab that and then we watched them beat Collingwood at Marvel Stadium, and you thought,
great spirit, character.
And it's just dropped away. It has dropped away, and the resilience that you hope is there for a side that has still got, as I said on the weekend, 8 premiership players played on the weekend.
Yep.
It's dropped away to nothing, where the losses now are mounting, and the losses aren't just losses.
So why and how does it drop away so dramatically? I think that's the core of the issue, and that therein lies a challenge for Adam Simpson to actually come up with a purpose for this group. So
look at that, Rui. I mean, they're not just losing games; they're getting smashed.
Yep.
50 plus.
Well, that's why the word people say they've given up. That's the stat there. That's why you look at them and go, geez, they put the white flag up a bit. And I know, West Coast... Well, actually, I think a lot of West Coast fans actually agree with us.
Yeah.
I speak to a lot of West Coast fans who are passionate and they know their team more than we do.
Right.
And they are going absolutely crazy at the lack of effort with these sorts of things. So
is it fair then to sit here tonight now and ask the questions about their commitment to each other, their commitment to playing a game out, like from the start to the finish, their commitment to the coach, their commitment to... the club, which has been such a proud footy club, because right now all of those things have been tarnished, right? Yeah. So what our question, or my question for you boys tonight, is how much of that do we make the excuse or accept what has been a really tough start to the year, and how much of it is, I'm just looking for the finish line this year and maybe we start again? And who's prepared to dig in and fight, or who's prepared to accept the 100-point belting on the weekend, the 50 pluses that just come up, out of time after time?
It's a manner of the losses for me, and they've contributed to some of this. So the sympathy at the start of the year comes because of things that weren't in their control. The COVID situation, the injuries that they had to players. Yep. But then the things that have been in their control was they had a stirring win against Collingwood early in the season. Yep. Then you bring the stars back. Yep. So integrity of selection, what did that do to the group? How did that ripple out? The Jack Darling situation across the summer, where he was not a part of training. Players were busting their gut in the pre-season. He comes back in. Ralphie's coming into...
So let's hold fire on that. We want to get John Ralph in, who's been working the phones today and has got some information.
Just quickly, guys, why? Who are the people you're looking at? You're looking at leadership.
Yep.
Anytime a situation like this, you look at leadership. And I thought Adam Simpson he would have been disappointed in the way he handled the hub situation. Remember that, the negativity around that first press conference? Then the next few weeks they went into the hub and they were terrible. They got beaten. And so, attitudinally, they've had a few issues. Yes, we know Simo's had a lot of challenges preparing his group this year. Trevor Nisbet, the CEO. So how is the team? We look at West Coast Eagles. I look at them. They look like a park team that hasn't trained together at all. And they've just been put out to start the AFL season without no preparation. So leadership, what have they been doing? From the top, they have not prepared this team on and off the field for the rigours of an AFL season.
Let's have a listen to Adam Simpson post-game.
Confidence crisis, there's a headline for you. You need small wins. You need to focus on development. We need to get healthy and fit, and we need to stick to our process. So we can't deviate. If you deviate every week, then you won't get anything out of this next 10 weeks. So we've got to learn the hard way, unfortunately. And if we can turn a half into 3 quarters and 3 quarters into a game and be competitive as we can, then that's the growth we'll get. We'll get opportunity in our younger players. We'll get some fitness and game running into our senior players, and hopefully, when the time's right, we can be more competitive. But we're not happy, absolutely. But we can't keep changing every week what we do, and we won't. We just got to stick fat. Each quarter had a different problem, so we'll be balanced with it. Because we've obviously got to get better, and with what we've got at the moment, we're struggling a little bit.
So just in terms of the quality you have out.
Well, a little bit, yeah, and then yep. But we can't make excuses every week like that. That's reality. That's what's going on. You know, we're getting some players back, but they're not going to be fully flying. So we need to get them through Waffle and get them fit as we can, and then throw them in the deep end.
Hard sell for Adam Simpson. His team's on the bottom of the ladder with a percentage of less than 50. He'll be on AFL 360 tonight, which will be interesting viewing as always. John Ralph joins us. Ralphie, you've worked the phones. They've been given a lot of leeway, I think, this West Coast Eagles side, but it's no question that enough's enough.
Yeah, that's correct. So Adam Simpson isn't getting sacked anytime soon. It's not the West Coast way, and more to the point, there are some valid excuses. So the club says they were flying in the summer, lost 6 significant players to injury in 8 days. They played 6 top-ups, one of them twice, in Declan Mountford. This Saturday was the first time this year they didn't have to play a player with COVID out of their best 22. I think it goes so much deeper than that, though, and I think it really starts with, clearly, Jack Darling. So his decision to miss those 6 weeks of training right in the sweet spot, February and early March, as a result of that vaccination holdout, came at the worst possible time in pre-season, and I think it had considerable fallout across the senior core. It divided the player group. Some players wanted to support him, given his personal responsibilities and his choices. Others were furious. They felt that they were abandoned. They felt that this was the worst possible time. He has, of course, been in terrible form, apart from last week, where he finally bounced back with 4 goals. So the timing of it, Oscar Allen went down with a major foot injury. He won't play at any stage in the season. And I think if you busted your butt and he comes back in round 2 off a limited prep, you're a young player and he steals your spot, or you're a senior player and he's not firing. I mean, you guys have been in that change room. I think either of those scenarios make you a very angry player.
Yeah, well, it was an interesting one to follow over the pre-season, wasn't it? I would have had empathy as a fellow senior player. Would have had empathy for the Darling situation, because I think everyone's got the choice.
Empathy on taking a stance on a vax.
Taking a stance on a vax, personal choice. So he takes a stance on the vax. But when the shadow looms up on you on the eve of the season that you're going to lose your paycheck, and then all of a sudden you get vaccinated, well, automatically I'm losing a lot of respect for my fellow senior player. In this case, it was Jack Darling. So from there, I think it's a difficult road back. If I'm that senior player looking towards Jack, I'm going, oh, geez, I'm not sure I want to be in the trenches with you. I've lost a fair bit of respect, and that's a long way back. And I know they're strong, they're heavy words, but how else do you look at that? Because why didn't you just stand for something all the way through? I'm not sure personal circumstance what's happened there.
The fact that he played straight away, was virtually straight away.
He played one game in the 2s, basically a practice match, and then he played in round 2.
Yeah, and then that speaks to where they went with post the Collingwood win, which was what Nick was alluding to earlier, was that there was spirit, there was young kids that were in there, they were having a crack, and then all of a sudden you got Shuey coming back and you got Yo coming, so you bring them back in, you're on the back of this. I think that would cause some issues.
Yeah, and then do you get the thumbing of the nose from the players that go out to the nightclub and weren't necessarily forthcoming in owning up to that. So I think it's not one issue in isolation. There is a soup of issues occurring here at West Coast that have meant that this is how it manifests. This is how it looks. It's 10 losses by 50 plus.
Let me touch on the COVID stuff. So for every one of those 17 PBs over summer that Adam Simpson keeps talking about, I think there were some senior players who cruised and were nowhere near as fit as they could have been. Now the COVID situation. I know that they're railing against this, but Freo and West Coast, people who know say that the Dockers players were so fastidious with their COVID preparation, so determined not to go to cafes and the nightclubs. And as much as West Coast complain, some of those players at that nightclub from West Coast, they literally caught COVID. So they only were caught when they fessed up, when people dobbed them in. And so, look, a lot of those Eagles players have spent 2 and 3 weeks after COVID just trying to get better. The round 4 win against Collingwood, the high watermark, Cripps, Kelly, Yo, Shuey came back, and they were significantly underdone. Adam Simpson had to defend the players, and I think there were some senior players, some younger players there who were dirty that they missed out as a result of those guys coming in.
So does that speak to an environment of entitlement, which is what I'm entitled to play senior footy as soon as I'm available, and then that has been facilitated. The COVID restriction. I'm entitled to be at a nightclub. Yeah, don't worry about the restrictions. I mean, I was just wondering, and they've been the kings of this town. And again, we're on the eastern seaboard. We don't quite understand it, but they have been the kings of that city since day dot.
Yeah, they've made massive mistakes in that regard. And I think what Adam Simpson would say is that when you have 15 players on your injury list, you have to play some of those players underdone. They've made the mistakes and they're rectifying it. So right now, on the weekend, Yo and Duggan, they played in the Waffle coming off their injuries. They will play about 3 or 4 games in the Waffle. The club's feeling like if we can build, if we can get those players like Liam Ryan and Willie Rioli back, we might be able to win some games in the back end of the year. Now, They're adamant that Jeremy McGovern's going nowhere. He gave back about $200,000 of his salary last year. Massive commitment for him. He wants to right the ship. They're still in the race for Luke Jackson. You know, as recently as the last couple of days, Melbourne's asked about him. Will you sign a new deal? He's still saying no. I think it's about the mid-season break when he'll consider that. But the fact that Melbourne's on top and West Coast is where they are, and he still hasn't made a decision, shows that that's a live concern. West Coast keeps saying, we'll build around the spine next year. McGovern, Barrass, Yeo, Allen, Darling. Now, on Wednesday, they start the redevelopment. Jai Cully is a 192-centimetre midfielder from Dandenong. He's very likely to be the number one pick in the mid-season draft for West Coast. So you do that, you bring some young picks in, you've got pick one, you get someone in through the pre-season draft. That's how you improve. But these are all the issues they're dealing with right now.
Right, let's move on. It is a staggering story with some reason, but I think what we've determined here is that there is contributing factors that they have been in control of.
Yeah, there are. But I liked Adam Simpson's words. We've got to look for the small wins, development. So they can't waste these last 11 weeks because how you finish this, we saw this is what happened last year. They dropped out last year, it continued this year, so they've got to find the small wins to
if
finish
they're in the
year.
race for Luke Jackson as well, they'll be wanting to convince him to come
it's a
over.
pitch.
It's a pitch, isn't it? Yeah, that last 11 weeks.